Marvin Ross in with your VON Major News Package for today, Wednesday, the 23rd day of October 2019. In our lead stories nationally, a national health survey to be conducted here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and Premier Brantley to be featured speaker at Barbados Labour Party 81st Conference. Regionally, mother of battered Dominican teen in Antigua looking to sue Antiguan authorities. Internationally, 39 bodies found in lorry container east of London. And in our sporting news segment, Nevis and Montserrat go under in Leeward Island Super 50 over. That is Super 50 tournament. We'll have the details to these and other stories after this short break.
Another look.
Different from how you've seen it before.
Another look.
Takes an in-depth look into business, politics, science, technology, religion, and more.
Another look.
Featuring documentaries from the BBC, regional features, and local ones too.
Another look.
Every Monday at 3 p.m. on the Eastern Caribbean's powerhouse, Vaughan.
Welcome back and on to our national news segment. The Ministry of Health in St. Kitts and Nevis will be conducting a national health survey dubbed STEPS survey. The STEPS survey is a population-based cross-sectional survey targeting persons between the ages of 18 and 69 years. The STEPS survey seeks to collect information on the risk factors for non-communicable diseases such as diabetes, blood pressure, that is high blood pressure, cancer, etc. It will gather data on tobacco use, salt intake, physical activity, and other risk factors. This will be done by randomly selecting households. The Ministry of Health has also received technical support from the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO. Coordinator at the Health Promotion Unit here in Nevis is Mrs. Nadine Carty-Keynes.
The rationale behind the STEP survey is to look at the impact of chronic diseases in our federation and to have a comprehensive population-wide program that will look to reduce chronic diseases such as diabetes, hypertension, cancers, kidney disease, etc. So the idea is to make sure that we have information collected that is strictly confidential, of course, and that can help us to strengthen our program.
She also gave a date as to when the survey will commence.
Well, we'll have the survey officials or interviewers in the field the last week in October, and so we're looking at a time frame of October to November for the survey to commence. The field work will probably complete in early December in terms of the whole process, analyzing the data and getting the report back to country. That will probably take a bit longer. So we're looking at the end of the first quarter in 2020 for the completion of this survey.
That is coordinator at the Health Promotion Unit here on Nevis, Mrs. Nadine Carty-Keynes. Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley, will be featured speaker at the Barbados Labour Party BLP's 81st National Conference this weekend. The three-day event, themed BLP 2019, A Refreshing Change for Barbados, will be held from October 25th to the 27th. It will feature an award ceremony, speeches, an address from the Prime Minister, and a concert. At a BLP pre-conference press briefing earlier this week, Chairman of the Conference Planning Committee, Mr. Kirk Humphrey, announced that Premier Brantley's address will be one of the highlights on Sunday evening. Barbados' Prime Minister and leader of the BLP, Mia Mottley, and Premier Brantley have enjoyed a long-standing friendship rooted in mutual respect and shared political ideologies of regionalism and good governance. An allegation from an unknown source was circulated in the public domain regarding the government purchase of 16 acres of land above the Bath Cemetery to be used for a premier's residence. On an edition of the On the Mark program aired on October 9, 2019, Premier of Nevis, the Honorable Mark Brantley, addressed the claims. However, during an edition of the Let's Talk program aired on October 22, 2019, concerns arose about questioning public officials on situations such as the aforementioned. An exchange took place between heavyweight panelists Mr. Conrad Nair-Liburd and Mr. Edric Stanley regarding garnering criticism and being reprimanded for voicing one's opinion or concerns.
Do your homework.
What's wrong with public suspicion?
Do your homework,
But I'm
man.
sure you have done yours, Stanley.
We are
Do your
members of the
homework.
public.
Obviously you
We
have.
employ people called members of parliament. So we
your
cannot be
homework.
suspicious about them. We cannot be suspicious about them. I mean, what's the issue? You want to run a government and nobody question nothing when you're not explaining nothing?
Well, get it right.
You want to make moves and spend poor people money, public money, do things, and of course with no proper explanation, reaching the public. So what's wrong with public suspiciousness in that respect? Is a dictatorship you want to encourage here or what?
No.
Eh?
When you
So what's wrong if we question into purchase made by the government? We may not get it right at the time, but what's wrong with questioning into that?
Heavyweight panelists Mr. Conrad Nair-Liburd and Mr. Edric Stanley. Minister with responsibility for environment, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton, informed the climate change stakeholders that the decisions taken in preparation for the Conference of Parties 25, COP25, must be informed by science. The event was attended by 30+ participants from the Caribbean region. Minister Hamilton, who was at the time chairing the CARICOM Regional Preparatory Meeting in advance of the COP25 on Friday 18th October at the St. Kitts Marriott Resort, said, and I quote, "The science has inspired countless movements around the world in support of more stringent climate action by governments, businesses, and all other actors." End quote. According to Mr. Hamilton, even though our contribution to overall global greenhouse gas emission is negligible, St. Kitts and Nevis has submitted an NDC under the Paris Agreement, which proposes to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions by 22 and 35% by 2025 and 2030 respectively. Prime Minister Dr. The Honorable Timothy Harris signed the Paris Agreement on behalf of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis on Earth Day in April 2016. COP25 is slated for December 2nd to the 13th, 2019 in Santiago, Chile. And according to a release from Government House in St. Kitts, the Governor General, His Excellency Sir Tapley Seaton, GCMG, CVO, JP, QC, LLD, on Tuesday, October 22nd, received the Ambassador of the United Arab Emirates, UAE, based in Havana, Cuba, His Excellency Badr Abdallah Saeed bin Al Martusi. This was the ambassador's inaugural visit to St. Kitts and Nevis, and he presented his letters of credence, diplomatic credentials, accrediting him as UAE ambassador to St. Kitts and Nevis. A letter of credence is a formal diplomatic letter that appoints a diplomat as ambassador to another sovereign state. The letter is addressed from one head of state to another, asking him, the head of state, to give credence to whatever the ambassador may say on his country's behalf. His Excellency the Ambassador is a graduate of the University of Alabama with a Bachelor of Arts degree and a Master's degree in International Service. In 2015, he was appointed Ambassador Extraordinary and Plenipotentiary to Cuba. St. Kitts and Nevis established diplomatic relations with the UAE in June 2012 and has a consulate in Dubai, UAE, since 2012. His Excellency the Governor General and the Ambassador discussed matters of mutual interest and pledged to strengthen the relations between the two countries. The First Caribbean International Bank, FCIB, will once again hold its annual Cancer Care Walk on Saturday, 26 October 2019. As a sponsor of the event, members of the FCIB promoted the walk on Von Radio's Let's Talk program hosted by Mr. Everett Weber Herbert on Tuesday, 22nd October 2019. Assistant Customer Service Manager Ms. Latanya Jones elaborated on the time and route for the walk.
Starting prompt 6 a.m. Our gathering time is at 5:30 a.m.
The route for the walk, we would begin at the Old Artisan Village, then take a left on the Island Main Road along the TDC Home and Building Depot, heading straight across to Pump Road. Then we would make a right down towards the cemetery next to Delta Petroleum, keeping on the island's main road, then through Charlestown onto the Samuel Hunkins Drive, and then ending at the Old Artisan Village. The Nevis Red Cross unit would be on hand, as well as the police from the Royal St. Kitts and Nevis Police Force, offering patrol and escort services for the entire walk.
That is Miss Latanya Jones. When asked if the walk was for persons of all ages, as well as further details on the walk, this was the response of the branch manager, Miss Jasmine K. Paris.
It's for all ages. As a fact, it started out as a family affair. We asked that family and friends join. Like we said, the Red Cross will be on hand to provide any sort of emergency medical services. So we encourage one and all to come on out. And so we are asking persons to please come out. We are hoping to make our quota of 500 persons this year. After the walk, we will gather at the Old Artisan Village, and there we will have some light refreshments will be offered. We would also have a photo booth available for persons who would like to take photos. Shirts are still available at the branch for collection. We are asking you to make a donation towards the cause of $25 or more, of course.
That is branch manager of the FCIB, Miss Jasmine K. Paris. This will be their 8th anniversary of the Cancer Walk. Finally, in our national news segment, the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force has added 5 new recruits to its ranks. The 5, namely Maruka Nisbet, Tyreek Nicholas, Sharissa Satan, Latricia Utley, and Zendon Clark, were sworn in at a brief ceremony held at the police headquarters in St. Kitts, that is in Basse-Terre, St. Kitts. The 5 took the oath on October 18, 2019. At the event, Commissioner of Police Hilary Brandy welcomed the recruits and praised them for the decision to join the force and encouraged them to respect the uniform. In making remarks, Assistant Commissioner of Police Andre Mitchell said, and I quote, "Honest, trustworthy, respectful. All of these are essential if you are going to give the kind of quality service that the public demands of you. You are going to earn the respect of the public by the way you conduct yourself." End quote. Force Personnel Officer Clifford Govia encouraged the recruits to take advantage of the many opportunities that are available in the force and thanked them for their decision to serve. Further to the new recruits receiving words of advice, they expressed their appreciation for the opportunity to serve the nation. That concludes our national news segment. You can visit our website at www.vonradio.com or our social media page on Facebook at Von Radio, and also our YouTube channel at Von Radio for these and other stories. News from across the region comes up next.
Life can be more fulfilling when we take the time out to smell the roses. And that's why your friends and family at the Bank of Nevis are experts at picking the flowers that best describe you. Whether you're planning to treat yourself after a long work week or finally getting around to that closet update, you deserve all the special things that life has to offer. And the Bond Visa card is here to help you achieve it. With just a swipe, you can turn a last-minute lunch date with friends and family into something worth remembering, with memories that will last a lifetime. Pampering yourself just got a whole lot easier. And after all, you deserve every refreshing moment of it. The ability to make your travel arrangements at your own convenience, whether by sea or by air, now rests within the palm of your hand. With a single swipe, the Bond Visa card can put a world of difference between life and truly living. Whereas the only limit you may have is your own imagination. Apply today. The Bank of Nevis Limited, improving the quality of life.
Welcome back and on to our regional news segment. In news of Antigua, Lawmen in Antigua and Barbuda could be facing a lawsuit from the family of Jahim Azu, the Dominican teen who was almost beaten to death in St. John's in September. Ordeal for Long has already started consultations with legal minds on the best way to go about taking legal action against the Commissioner of Police, Dominican Atlee Rodney, and the Attorney General, Stedward Benjamin. Furlong is trying to put pressure on the authorities to arrest the 3 of the boys who she claimed were involved in the attack on her son. The police to date have arrested and charged 2 minors with assault with intent to commit murder and have told the media that there was no indication that there were indeed 5 boys who attacked and injured Azu. The woman is convinced that the authorities are covering up for the other 3 boys reportedly involved. The teen maintains 5 boys attacked him, but the authorities say they only have information about 2 boys. And in news out of the Bahamas, the government of the Bahamas signed a heads-of agreement with Western Atlantic University of Medicine Limited for the establishment and operation of the University School of Medicine in Freeport, the capital of Grand Bahama, which was devastated by Hurricane Dorian last month. The development presents a US $64 million investment and will provide hundreds of construction and permanent jobs. Prime Minister Minnis described Monday's signing as an important part of the Hurricane Dorian recovery and reconstruction effort. It is estimated that in the university's first 10 years of operation, student and faculty spending on housing, food, entertainment, goods, and on-island transportation will provide a combined US $200 million in revenue for Grand Bahama. At the peak of construction, 150 jobs will be created. During the full operation of the campus, approximately 200 permanent jobs will be created for Bahamians. The development will include university-owned housing for faculty, staff, and students on campus. It will also encompass on-campus businesses, including a bookstore, cafeteria, and a student center providing music, food, beverages, a copy center, and related services. In more regional news, this time out of Barbados, 2 superbugs have shown up in Barbados in the past, and infectious disease specialist Dr. Corey Ford says the country cannot lapse when it comes to dealing with treatment-resistant organisms. Ford, head of the Infection Prevention and Control Department at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital, however, stressed there was no need to panic over the matter. Pan-drug-resistant organisms means the antibiotics we have available either won't work well or we have nothing to treat them. Those organisms have arrived on the world scene, and in Barbados and the Caribbean, we are not at a similar state where we already have recorded pan-drug-resistant organisms where we have limited amount of drugs to use to treat them, said Ford, who was speaking on Monday after the opening ceremony of the 2-day Caribbean Infection Control Stewardship Conference at the Pan American Health Organization PAHO World Health Organization WHO office. During the ceremony, Minister of Health and Wellness Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic said government is continuing to strengthen antimicrobial diagnostics. He said Barbados is benefiting from the Triangular Cooperation Project with the Argentine government and PAHO to increase capacity in enhanced diagnostic procedures in CARICOM, with training to improve areas ranging from the taking of samples in laboratory diagnostic techniques, data analysis, to dissemination. Finally, in our regional news segment, United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement ICE, that is United States Immigration and Customs Enforcement's ICE Enforcement and Removal Operations ERO deportation officers arrested a 43-year-old Guyanese man who was previously ordered removed from the United States and was twice released from local law enforcement custody. Bradshaw Harry Chand was first arrested in March this year on charges of sexual abuse against children and aggravated harassment, and ERO deportation officers lodged a detainer with local authorities. ICE lodges detainers on individuals who have been arrested on criminal charges and who ICE has that's probable cause to believe are removable aliens. The detainer asks the other law enforcement agency to notify ICE in advance of release and to maintain custody of the individuals for a brief period of time so that ICE can take custody of that person in a safe and secure setting upon release from the agency's custody. However, he was arrested and released on 2 previous occasions, on June 3rd and July 5th, but Harry Chand was eventually released from custody. ERO deportation officers arrested him earlier this month with a final order of removal in place from 2004. He is currently detained in ICE custody pending his deportation to Guyana. That concludes our regional news segment. International news comes up next as the VO and Major News Package continues. Welcome back and on to our international news segment. The bodies of 39 people have been found in a lorry container in Essex. The vehicle found at Waterglade Industrial Park in Eastern Avenue, Grays, came to the UK from Bulgaria, police said. Everyone inside the container, 38 adults and 1 teenager, died, Essex police said. The lorry driver, a 25-year-old man from Northern Ireland, has been arrested on suspicion of murder. The BBC's Daniel Stanford reports.
The white Scania truck is still parked in the Waterglade Industrial Park near Grays. A large section of the industrial park has also been cordoned off, so the delicate task of removing the bodies can be done discreetly. The Deputy Chief Constable of Essex Police, Pippa Mills, said detectives were first alerted to the lorry by the ambulance service in the early hours of this morning. Of the 39 people who died, 38 were adults. Detectives think 1 was a teenager. Police have said they anticipate identifying the group could be a lengthy process. There's no information at this stage about their nationality.
Russian forces have begun to deploy towards the Turkey-Syria border as part of a deal to remove Kurdish troops. Units have already entered the 2 key border towns of Kobane and Manbij. Under the deal agreed by Russia and Turkey, Kurdish fighters were given 150 hours from noon on Wednesday to pull back 30 kilometers or 80 miles along the border.
We've heard from Kurdish sources that a letter was sent by Mazloum Abdi, commander of the Kurdish forces, to US Vice President Mike Pence, that he would abide by the deal and he would pull out his forces. The question is that what is going to happen to them now? We don't know if their forces are going to integrate to the Syrian army or what's going to happen to the areas that they have been controlling in the last 7 years.
Tanzania's highest court has annulled a law which allows families to marry off girls as young as 15 years. The Supreme Court of Appeal upheld a ruling of a lower court and said the child marriages infringed on girls' rights and were unlawful and unconstitutional. Tanzania's Attorney General had appealed against the 2017 High Court ruling, which had struck off sections of the law which allowed the marriage of 15-year-old girls. The court said girls could not marry before 18, the age for boys. The ruling is a milestone for the rights of girls. According to the UN Children's Agency, 31% of Tanzania are married before the age of 18, while 5% get married before their 15th birthday. Finally, in our international news segment, tens of thousands of Lebanese protesters kept the country on lockdown on Tuesday, rallying for a 6th consecutive day to demand new leaders despite the government's adoption of an emergency economic rescue plan. The protesting people remain defiant despite Prime Minister Saad Hariri's reforms, insisting the government resign. Media reports said demonstrations have grown into an unprecedented cross-sectarian street mobilization against the ruling politicians. The BBC's Sebastian Usher reports.
The Lebanese protests are entering their 7th day. They've brought much of the country to a standstill. Until now, they've been characterised by fun and good humour, although the seriousness of the country's plight that's brought hundreds of thousands onto the streets has been the focus. Now the army is moving in to try to reopen roads blocked by the protesters. The Prime Minister, Saad Hariri, has told the army not to use force, but scuffles have already broken out in several areas as protesters refuse to move as the army comes in. Many Lebanese are holding their breath that the situation remains peaceful and their demands for genuine reform do not get hijacked by any violence.
That concludes our international news segment. The latest in sports comes up next.
Insurance Company Limited. We care about your investment. Guarantee you peace of mind. The best team in the business. Guarantee you peace of mind. No other company will guarantee you peace of mind. Together we'll succeed and guarantee you peace of mind. TDC Insurance Company Limited, where you get more coverage for less.
Back and on to our sporting news segment. In cricket news, Antigua and Barbuda got the better of Nevis, and Anguilla got the better of Montserrat as the Leeward Islands Super 50 Over Series continued in Antigua on Monday 21st October. In match 1, Antigua and Barbuda versus Nevis, the summarized scores: Antigua and Barbuda 293 for 9 in 50 overs, Rakeem Cornwall 69, Devon Thomas 62, Alzari Joseph 61, Hayden Walsh Jr. 34, Tyrone Williams Jr. 32, Jason Campbell 3 for 27, Nelson Boland 2 for 59, Kian Pemberton 2 for 60, Karen Powell 1 for 37, and Tonito Willett 1 for 47. Nevis 200 all out in 43.2 overs, Andrew Brown 69, Kesson Archibald 37, Karen Powell 29, Ross Powell 25, Kadeem Phillip 3 for 43, Hayden Walsh Jr. 3 for 53, Azari Joseph 2 for 14, Antigua and Barbuda won by 93 runs. In match 2, Anguilla versus Montserrat, summarized the scores are as follows: Montserrat 170 all out in 49.2 overs, Estuit 35, Jay Grant 33, D. Baker 22 not out, Yannick Leonard 3 for 16, A. Bowens 3 for 37, Walters, Doram, Hodge, and Krushin Shak 1 wicket each. Anguilla 174 for 3 from 27.5 overs, Jamar Hamilton 86 not out, Munchin Hodge 36, D. Krushin Shank 20, Boatswain, Baker, and White 1 wicket each. Anguilla won by 7 wickets. Tuesday's games were all rained out. And in more cricket news, Rohit Sharma has broken into the top 10 for Test batsmen in the ICC rankings after amassing 529 runs in his first 4 innings as Test opener. Rohit, who is placed 10th in Test, 2nd in ODIs, and joint 7th in T20 internationals, is also the 3rd Indian after Virat Kohli and Gautam Gambhir to be in the top 10 across formats. Kohli, who was number 1 in all 3 formats in the past, currently occupies 2nd place, 926 in the Test rankings, led by Stephen Smith, 937 points. Rohit, who was ranked 44th before the start of the 3 Test series at home against South Africa, vaulted 34 places up to 10th. And in athletic news, Russia must expect to be banned from the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo for inconsistencies in laboratory data sent to investigators, says the head of Russia's anti-doping agency, Roshada. The World Anti-Doping Agency said last month Russia could be banned from all major sport events over discrepancies in Moscow lab data. On Wednesday, a WADA committee will meet experts who have amassed both the data and Russia's explanations for it. It can then recommend sanctions. And that's it for sporting news. The latest weather forecast comes up next. And tonight, most stable and drier air replacing a tropical wave across the region will keep the chances of showers at moderate for the most across the islands. Tonight, partly cloudy with a 40% or moderate chance of showers. Tomorrow, partly sunny with a 30% or low chance of showers. The winds are east at 11 to 22 kilometers per hour or 6 to 12 knots. Seas 0.5 to 1 meter or 2 to 3 feet. The sunrise for tomorrow will be at 6 minutes after the 6 o'clock hour. And that's how we wrap up the major news package for today, Wednesday, 23rd October 2019. Before we go, let's take a look at the headlines once again. Nationally, a national health survey to be conducted here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and Premier Brantley to be featured speaker at Barbados Labour Party 81st Conference. Regionally, mother of battered Dominican teen in Antigua looking to sue Antiguan authorities. Internationally, 39 bodies found in a lorry container east of London. And in sports, Nevis and Montserrat go under in Leeward Ireland Super 50 tournament. On behalf of the rest of the news team, I am Marvin Ross, and I'm wishing you